And we're live. Hey everyone, my name is Marco. I'm one of the co-founders and one of the co-mentors over here at the FirehoseProject. So welcome to the info session. Let's get straight started. What are we going to cover today, right? I want to talk a little bit about our core curriculum, what we got running our students through, what you guys are going to build. I also want to talk a little bit about mentorship sessions, how they help you learn a lot more faster, how we structure them. And then I usually like to answer one of the biggest questions that a lot of students have. It's like, what are actually the skills I know I have at the very end of the 12-week FirehoseProject program? So yeah, hang in there with me, and I'm going through everything right now. And if you have any questions, right below me, you have the little box. Feel free to ask anything, and I'm going to give my best shot at answering all of them. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to email me. You guys should have all my email by now. Okay, let's get started. Core curriculum, right? So you're going to start with the FirehoseProject, and we're going to build 3 web applications. And I mean real-world web applications. What we focus on is building something that's actually useful that people can use, right? Kind of like the real world. You don't want to just build something that's going to fizz around on your command line or something that you can't really show. So the first thing we do, first 10 hours, we build something that you can share with your friends and you can actually get feedback on. What we do is a simple advice splitting generator, right? Users can come in, they type in a quote or something, it gets saved to a database, and it gets randomly pulled out of it. We pack that in a nice mobile-first design, so you can actually go on a party and say, like, hey, look, this is what I built last night. And then the response that we aim for all the time is like, oh, wow, you built this? That looks awesome. That's what we're going for, right? So it needs to be real functional, like with the database and everything, but it also needs to be looking good. So it's like, you know, good looking. People are happy about it. People are engaged. So we're going to build that first application in the first 10 hours with you, right? So depending how many hours you spend a day, you can finish it in one day. You can also finish it in, like, usually students finish it in about 2 to 3 hours, 2 to 3 days. So that application will give you a really good understanding of how Ruby, the programming language, and Rails, the framework, works. So you're going to touch your text editor, you're going to touch Sublime, you write some HTML code, you do CSS classes, you write Ruby code, Rails, right? You're going to get familiar with the database. So, and the most important thing I think you get out of it, it puts you in a driver's seat that you have built something, you can share it with your friends, with your family, and you get feedback, right? And that's a really powerful motivation. But you might not be able quite to take their feedback and make improvements upon it, but you definitely see, oh, this is where this is going when I'm a developer. I build something, I show it, I get feedback. Then next, we want to ramp you up, right? We need to get a level higher. We're building a Yelp clone. That's the next application that we're building. That's quite a bit more complicated than that splurty advice splitting generator that we built. That usually takes our students about several weeks to complete. And I think the most important feature that we're going to learn there is integrating with an API. Integrating with the Google Map API, right? So how this works is like a user would come to your web application, type in an address. We are grabbing that address, changing it into latitude, longitude coordinates, passing those coordinates into the Google Map API, and then we get that little pin on the map, right? And we write all the Ruby code to make that happen. Other features that we need to have, right, to make this a real Yelp clone is not only the maps, but we also want commenting features, right? So user comments. Then I'd like to see automated email notifications. So if I have, say, a pizza place, right, and somebody makes a comment on my pizza place, I'd like to get an email saying, like, hey, Marco, just somebody commented and gave a rating on your pizza place. You might want to check that out, right? Another thing we build is a user dashboard. I like to log in. I like to see, hey, how all my places are doing. Like, have some simple metrics on that. How many comments I've given, how many comments I received, those types of things. So we're building a user dashboard there as well. Obviously, we need to have user authentication, log in, log out, sign up, those things. We need to wrap that too. And again, we wrap that into like a mobile-first design so it looks good on your phone as well as on tablet and desktop. That's really important to us. That's the second one. So now we're building the third application, right? So we're in the apprenticeship, we're in about, maybe week 4 or 5, around there. So next one gets a level up. We're building a Udemy clone or a Netflix clone. I call it an online learning platform, right? And if you're thinking about that, when I say platform, right, there's already 2 players at hand, right? So it's a video learning platform. There can be instructors that sign up to my platform and they actually develop content, right? Let's say I make a video course on, what should I say, how to throw knives. I don't know how to throw knives, but that would be awesome. So I had a video learning lesson on how to throw knives, right? And then there are some people who might be interested in that, and they sign up for that, right? So now I need to track who's an instructor, who is a student, and then also I want to integrate with a payment API. I want to actually have money transferring hands on my platform. So we need to not only track how write the code to actually accept credit card payments on our platform, but we also need to keep track which student paid, which instructor, and how does the money move around. And if we're thinking about that from a developer point of view, that's what powers a lot of web applications, like all these relationships between different databases, between different users, right? And that's kind of the key of that second application that we're building. It's like that deep understanding of database relationships, because that we're gonna you need that in any job, you need that in any application that you build that's fairly complicated. Another thing that we're doing is we're doing a deep dive into JavaScript. So that's something that we wanted to do right when you need it, right? And that's kind of like the mantra of the Firehose project. We teach you things right when you need them. And so at that point, it's really good to actually do a little bit of user experience, user interface improvements, learning JavaScript as we go. So that basically we make a little interface where we can drag and drop on the page without reloading the page. So instructors can organize their lessons, like my awesome knife throwing lessons, a bit better. So those are the three applications that we're building, right? Each builds on top of each other, and each is more complex than the first one. That's our core curriculum. Now, after you're done with that, we're gonna split you usually up, so right? There's different types of students that we have in the program. There's some that say, hey, I have my own idea. I wanna launch and build my own idea. Those students, we put on a track where they're going to build their own applications, right? We start with wireframing it out. We draw every single screen of the application, figure out the user flow, figure out the user experience, and then break it down in individual pieces to code it up, right? First, maybe we start with the user authentication. Maybe there's a map, so we already built that. So we have some resources available to us to pull in, right? Break that down and launch one step after another. So what have students built so far, right? There's Steven who built an Uber clone for on-demand delivery of medical marijuana, right? He moved out to Sacramento, and he's launching that right now. Other people have built Pete. He loves horse racing. So he built a platform. He actually used the Yelp clone initially to put all the horse racing tracks in the US on a map, because apparently there's no good place. And then he used this capstone project the last 4 weeks in the program to build on top of that and actually bring analytics about all the horses that race at any given day at a given horse race track, and show people like, hey, here's the odds that this horse is gonna win today. This is how it performed last week on similar conditions. And so him and his friends are all using his app, and they love it, and every day they add more horse race tracks to it. So that's something that he built, right? And then for people who want to look for jobs, who are like on the career, either changing or career finding track, on a job track, we're going to put them on a group project, right? Group project meaning you'll be working together with 3 to 4, sometimes 5 developers on a project together. So you code collaboratively. Now, why are we doing this? Because quite simply, the best software in the world is always built by teams, and you need to learn how to build software as a team, not in isolation. And that's really important, because hiring managers look for that skill, because on day one on the job, you actually know how to use all the tools and work together as a team. So you don't need to be trained, you already have those skills. And hiring managers can see that when they look at GitHub. They see, how did you comment on somebody else's code? How did you take somebody else's code and make it better? How did you handle when somebody told you you need to improve your code, right? How did you work together as a team? And usually what happens, so right now, for example, one of our teams, they're building a chess game. They wanted something really complicated, so we're like, build a chess game. That's complicated, if we're thinking about it, right? So I'm looking at a chess field, right? There's so many figures, and I have to keep track on a program level of all the different pieces moving over my chess field. Which ones get kicked out? Which that move allowed? Where are my pawns right now? So those are all the things I need to keep track of. And we're writing the code for that as a group project. So we need to split up responsibilities and make sure we launch that. Before, some students build a technical interview training platform where people can sign up and they actually get the questions that would happen in a technical interview to you as a job seeker, right? And so they built that so other people can prepare for technical interviews better. And now you just think about how that changes the communication when you're in your technical interview yourself and you said, well, I build a platform that has several dozens of students on it who actually learn how to go through a technical interview process, and I built that, right? So it's kind of like puts you in a really good light. So those are two things, right? If you're looking for a job, we'll put you on a group project. If you want to launch your own application, we help you build and launch that own application, right? So now how do we support you? What's happening there, right? So there's several different things that we have. And usually people tell me like, oh, that's not that exciting, but I think this is key, and that's our question and answer forum, right? So imagine, it's Thursday night, you're working on the Google Map API integration, and all of a sudden you see an error message. You try the solutions that we taught you to troubleshoot and solve your own error messages, but you can't find a solution, or you don't know what to do, and you're stuck, right? We have a forum, you go in there, you paste your error message, and somebody will help you with a few hours and say like, hey, you know, on line 37, you're missing a semicolon, or here you're missing an equal sign, right? And then you can move on and focus on learning rather than spinning in circles. And that's really important. And the reason I say this is so important is because when it comes time to show up at your mentorship sessions, you're error-free. You don't have things like, we don't need to spend time, right? I don't like spending time in a mentorship sessions where I say like, oh, here's a comma missing, oh, you have a typo here, hey, you know, that line of code needs to go above that. We can deal with all of this beforehand. When you come to mentorship sessions, we should focus on something that's more complicated. We should be error-free, and now we focus on, for example, we're going over database relationships, right? That's something that you need to know. Or how about we write an algorithm together? That will prepare you for your job interview. Or how about we build an additional feature and we pair program, I write some code, you write some code, and we build something together that will help you get closer towards launching your own application that you really want to launch. Or, for example, what else do? We do test-driven development, right? So we would come in and we start writing tests for your applications to actually automatically see if things are broken or not, right? Test-driven development is huge. You need to have that, right? We dedicate a session to that or multiple sessions to that. So we teach that to you, and then we give you assignments, right? So we teach you how to write tests, and I'll be like, okay, next week, I want you to have 20 tests written for these features that you already built, right? So it's not abstract. You build an application and teach you how to build the tests on top. Moving forward, as soon as you arrive in a group project, all our group projects, they try to write the tests before they build the application, which is then true test-driven development, right? And those are the stepping stones that you're going through. So usually you come into mentorship sessions, we do something on top of what you've already done, and I give you assignments that you need to complete by the end of the week, or until we meet, like the next week we meet. So we have mentorship sessions once a week, right? A full hour, and we really focus on something complicated and deep, and we teach you additional skills. Now, the Q&A forum, you have the mentorship sessions, then we also have technical office hours. And I think what's happening in the office hours is really exciting, because we usually have people in that are far ahead in the program. Like they might be in week 8, they might be already in a group project, right? They might be building their own application. We have people who just started, like it might be their week 1 or 2. And then people can bring up their questions, right? Every one of our students has a running log of questions where they have problems or they don't understand something, right? We either help them in the mentorship sessions or in the Q&A mentorship sessions or the office hours. So usually what happens, like a student will ask a question. If that student is like in week 6 or 8, right, and you just started, you're gonna be like, okay, well, I don't quite understand the code yet because I don't have the skills, but I can see where this is going. And then on the other side, if you're an advanced student and somebody who just starts, is like yesterday we had the office hours and somebody was like, I think I have a problem here. Like I didn't start properly with my project, right? And so students were like, yeah, it's clear what you're missing is A, B, and C. And then they could help that student, right? And so that's really valuable if you actually get to teach back. Right, that also happens in our Google Plus groups where the students interacting with each other, or in the chat rooms where they talk about how they set up their group projects and have all that communication together with their mentor and with each other. So that's kind of like the essence how this works. The mentorship sessions, how we try to accelerate you, the core curriculum, the office hours, and the Q&A forum. That's all those different things that come together to give you that experience of, I guess, drinking from the fire hose and learning a lot of content in a really short amount of time, right? So now the question is always like, okay, Marco, what can I do after I graduate from the Firehose Project, right? Well, right, you have your own application. We launched that with you. You want to have a job. That's the track you're on. We prepare you for your technical interview and everything. But at the end of the day, if you think about a new idea, if you think like, wow, it'd be cool if I build a web application for that, you have the skills to go, bust open your computer, hack on that over the weekend for a couple days, and then you have a solid first product out there, and you can share that with people and get feedback. And I think that feeling alone is priceless. You can build your own ideas out, regardless if you get a job down the line, regardless if you build one with us, right? You're self-sufficient. You hit that inflection point. At that point, you can teach yourself and you can go higher and higher and higher. And that's what we're shooting for, to get you to that inflection point as fast as possible. Some students reach it after 3-4 weeks. Some students reach it at week 6, right? But that's kind of key. Get you there and then reach your personal goal of like, hey, I want to land a job. Hey, I want to launch my application. That's that's why we ask every single student, what is your goal? And then we customize our curriculum to what you need to get to that goal, right? And our mentors know exactly what is needed to get to that goal, because they've either hired people before, they've built products before and launched them. So it's pretty obvious really quickly, like what we need to give you so you reach your goal. All right, guys, I'm kind of running out of material. I have a bunch of questions that I received via email already, but now it's your time to kind of go down here and write more questions into the chat so I can answer them. I'm going to check the few questions that I received that I usually get. Give me 1 second. Check them out quickly. All right, one. Oh, what's the application process look like? Great question. So application process usually works as following. We want to make sure that you already did a little bit of coding before, right? That doesn't have to be much. That can be just several weeks, but we want to know that maybe you wrote a little bit of a Ruby script, right? Maybe you wrote some HTML or build a website, right? Basically, why I'm asking for this is twofold. I want to make sure that you actually enjoy coding before you go out and train to become a professional web developer, right? You don't want to apply for medical school before you know that you like seeing blood, because once you're a doctor, you're going to see that all the time, right? Same with code. Don't say you want to be a web developer if you don't know that you like coding. So test that out. So usually you want to do something. If you haven't coded at all before, I give people challenges. You can still sign up for the program and start, but we give you pre-work and we delay your starting date so you actually have a solid foundation before we actually start with building the real applications out with you. So that is something that you should definitely think about. Have you done anything? So email me coding samples, and I usually ask for them as well. Next step is we want to talk, right? I want to make sure that what we have works for you. I want to hear about your personal goals. I want to hear about professional goals. I want to hear about your coding background. So I jump on a hangout with every single student, or other mentors do too, and we talk to them. We try to figure out, can we help you out, right? And this is like us trying to make sure we hit it and we can actually help you achieve your goals. So first we're looking at some coding samples, we're giving you challenges, and then we jump on a Google Hangout. Afterwards, usually in the program, or I tell you straight in the Hangout, hey, there's a few things I want you to do first before you start with us. These are honest conversations that we have with students all the time, and I think we appreciate it as mentors, and the students appreciate it too. Get another question. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, materials. How does this work when I start? Great question. Okay, how do materials presented and how does it all work? By the way, guys, I'm not seeing questions in the Google Hangout right now, so keep writing those questions. I'm about 2 minutes ahead of you guys for whatever streaming reasons, so you got to write them immediately when you think about them. Otherwise, I might be gone already by the time you write your questions. So how are materials presented? So there's a multitude of ways that we reach you, right? So we have written guides, really detailed guides that explain step by step how we build the applications. We also have video sessions. We usually use video sessions. We give them to you at the moment that you need them. And those are big overview things, right? How does a web application, the pieces of a web application, how they fit together? What's a model? What's a controller? How do routes work, right? What's an API? Those things we usually explain via video sessions. Your mentor will also go over them, but it's really important that you have a place when you 6 weeks in, you're like, so how does my route file work again? You have a place where you can watch a 10-minute video and you're like, oh, okay, get it, right? So we have both. But you usually do written guides and you go through them and that shows you how to write the code. Why do we do written guides, right? I think that's a valid question, but I think it's really important that you go through written materials and not video lessons entirely. Because in the real world, coding is oftentimes learned by reading documentation, right? If you need to learn how to integrate somebody else's code in your own web application, you're going through written documentation. And so our documentation, our guides teach you how to look and work with written documentation so you're ready for the real world. And that's the whole goal, to make you be that person who can teach themselves and teach other people afterwards, right? So the sooner you get used to using written documentation, the better you're off in the real world. That's what you're doing. So you're coming in, you get your mentorship sessions, forum access, right, office hours, and you have written guides and some videos on the side. Obviously, we also interact with you on GitHub where we back up all your code, because that's how professional web developers are doing it. Now I got another email question. It's like, so what are the skills that I'm learning, the technologies, right? So we're teaching Ruby, that's a programming language. We're teaching Rails, that's the framework for web development, faster web development, application. Then we go and teach you JavaScript, right? We go in there, I said we're going to build a user interface out in one of the apps that we're building, so you're going to learn about JavaScript. We obviously teach you HTML and CSS3. We wrap usually everything into a mobile-first design. We're using Twitter Bootstrap for that, so that's a front-end framework that we're using. We also teach you about PostgreSQL. We make you go through a session that teaches you how to write SQL queries, because you don't want to be the developer who doesn't know how to query the database and get data out. We also go into run you through how to use Git as version control and GitHub to back up your code and GitHub to code collaboratively. Especially if you go on a group project, you will use GitHub to its fullest extent, the same way as professional web developers use it as a team every single day. We're also going to do, what else do we use? Heroku, that's a server, and we also do AWS. We save some images on there, so we need to get familiar with the AWS setup for several sessions there. Then we also teach you about algorithms. We prepare you for technical interviews if you're on a job track. So that's multiple sessions that we go through, how to do whiteboarding exercises and solve code on the whiteboard rather than the computer, because that's what's facing you in the first interview. We also go in through database relationships. Test-driven development is really big. We believe in that, and so we want to push that, and we go have several sessions that focus on that and want you to write tests while going through the group project. I think that kind of says, like, that kind of summarizes all the technologies that we're teaching. Now I got just 2 questions over here. Cool, here we go. Chris started, cool. What sets us apart from other similar online coding bootcamps? Great question. So for all of the people that are doing research right now, go to our site and check out the definitive guide, right? I think chapter 6 or 7 has a list of questions you should ask every single time you talk to a coding bootcamp, right? Do that. Do yourself that favor. Read that guide. It's on our website. Top nav, click on it, right? This is no marketing. This is like how we would do the research if we were joining as professional web developers, a coding bootcamp. What really matters is in there. So read that. Now, Chris, why are we different, right? Looking at other competitors out there. There's plenty, right? There's in-person coding bootcamps. There's online coding bootcamps, right? Let's just focus on online coding bootcamps. I think one thing that I always tell is like, hey, I think there's 3 things. First is our curriculum. It goes a lot deeper. Like if I'm seeing what students producing after 12 weeks in other coding bootcamps, I see our curriculum already is more challenging than that. So I see like what you built throughout the core curriculum with us, it's a lot deeper. It goes into a lot more knowledge, right? Focus on algorithm building and the back end, the database relationships. I don't see that in other curriculums, unfortunately. I wish I would. The other thing is we're doing the group project. So if you're looking for a job that really prepares you, you need to know how to work together with other developers. And you do that with us. And you do that for a full month. Or sometimes if you're progressing really fast through our curriculum, we do that already in week 4. So you have 2 months where you get assignments, build additional applications, and you're also responsible for certain tasks on your group projects to work together with them. That's a really good question. Oh, here's another one. So Chris, I hope I answered your question. John asked one. Let's go to that one. How long are the mentorship sessions? The mentorship sessions are 1 hour. We used to split them up multiple times a week, but we realized what works the best is if we give you assignments that you need to complete by that mentorship session, and then we focus on one additional piece of knowledge that we're going to teach you. So we go really in depth. So the mentorship sessions, this 1 hour of pair programming, you have that per week. So you get the office hours, an hour, hour and a half per week, the mentorship session, hour a week. You get the forum access, you have unlimited, however many questions you want to ask. So John, I hope that answered your question. So let's see if I got some more questions. Oh, here we go. Cost, right? People ask me about that all the time, so just got that email. So cost, it's on the website right now for everything, core curriculum, mentorship sessions, office hours, forum. We're charging $4,500 for the 12 weeks. If you want to pay everything up front, we give you a $500 discount. If you want to use some of our payment plans, we have several. One, you can do 3 monthly installments, or you can do 5 monthly installments of $900. So check our site in the top nav. There's a little drop down. You can see all that. Okay, Susanna, what percentage of your students graduate and get a job as a developer? That's a great question. In the definitive guide, we talk about these metrics that people throw out, right? So all the students who are looking for a job on our program, they get a job, right? But the question is, what kind of job are they getting, right? I can give anyone an internship and count that as a job. I can give everyone a job where they make like $30,000 and they kind of like writing software for some printer hardware, super boring stuff. That's not what you're shooting for, right? What we're shooting for is like good developer teams, good developer jobs that pay like 60, 65. So students who are looking for that, get those jobs, right? That's our goal. But I don't want to say 100% because it means nothing. That statistic is useless because you don't know what that means. So the real question you want to ask is like, how many of your graduates are getting actually jobs that paying 60, 65,000 or more as a real developer, right? So far, all the students who wanted that, they get that job, right? They got those jobs that they wanted. Okay, cool. But again, look at our definitive guide and look at all these marketing metrics. It's another chapter that don't really matter because I can just fudge them around. Cool, let me see what else we got. Guys, you guys have any more questions? Put them below. This is super good. I love answering all these questions. Think otherwise, checking out this. No more question here. Okay, cool. So about to wrap this up. I'm still watching the Hangout thread if more questions come in. If not, then you think about a question like, next few hours or tomorrow, a week later, just email me. You guys all have my email address. Just shoot me an email and happy to answer them. I'll jump on a Hangout with you and figure out like, hey, what is really what you need? Where do you want to go? And how can I help you guys? There's plenty of people that we help every single week that, they might not be an online coding bootcamp might not be the right thing for them right now. We help them, give them resources. So yeah, feel free to reach out. Happy to help you guys. This was super fun, and yeah, I hope to see you guys around. So take it easy, stay awesome, and I hope to hear from you guys.